and welcome to CCNA Wireless 200-355 Wireless Fundamentals Bootcamp. In this course, you will learn CCNA Wireless exam topics and important and useful subjects for your profession. Let's go over each chapter and go in more detail about what to come in this course. First off, we will learn a great deal about RF fundamentals. This is the starting point for a wireless journey, and it will lay a good foundation for the following chapters. In the first chapter, we will be describing the propagation of radio waves. We will learn about RF signals and the electromagnetic spectrum. We will answer some questions like, what is frequency, what is wavelength, what is amplitude, and what is phase difference. We will also learn about different phenomena related with RF signals, such as absorption, reflection, diffraction, scattering and refraction, multipath and fading. We will also learn free space path loss and also Fresnel zone. On the second part of this chapter, we will go deep into RF fundamentals. What is signal strength? What does RSSI mean? How to calculate transmit power? We will go over some different interference types and the noise. What are different device requirements and capabilities? We will also learn principles of RF mathematics, how to calculate dB, dBi, dBd, dBm, and how we can measure different power levels. We will also learn to calculate EIRP. We will see Wi-Fi antenna characteristics. How does the radiation pattern of an antenna occur? What is polarization? How gain is measured? What is the beamwidth of an antenna? And we will go over different types of antennas: omnidirectional, Yagi, patch, and dish. We will explain different antenna connectors and why we need them. And lastly, we will study amplifiers and attenuators. On our second chapter, we will learn about 802.11 technology fundamentals. In this chapter, we will describe basic Wi-Fi governance. What are the governing regulatory bodies? What is IEEE? Why do we need to learn about IEEE 802.11 standard? And what is Wi-Fi Alliance? On the second part of this chapter, we will also learn about usable channel and power combinations. We already learned about EIRP in the first chapter. We will learn its limitations. We will be learning about ISM and U and II frequency bands. We will go over REM fundamentals. On the last part of this chapter, we will also learn about 802.11 fundamentals. What is modulation? What is channel width? How do we use them? And we will learn about MIMO, multiple inputs and multiple outputs. We will go over different wireless topologies, and we will learn different wireless frame types, such as management, control, and data. So simply, we will learn a lot about 802.11 fundamentals in this chapter. In chapter 3, we will learn about various Cisco wireless architectures. We will learn why we need autonomous and cloud architectures. Why do we need split MAC architecture? And we will learn differences regarding centralized, flex connect, and converged deployment types. Then we will go over physical connections for wired and wireless infrastructure. We will understand how to connect VLCs to switches, how to connect different access point types to switches, and why do we need Ether channel, which is lag, and also learn what to do with VCNs on switches, how they add us in terms of benefits, and then we will examine VLC and AP management access connections. What are different management methods? What are VLC ports? What the different VLC interfaces do? And we will also learn why we should disable management via wireless. Chapter 4 is about operating a wireless network. In this chapter, we will talk about how to execute initial setup procedures for various Cisco wireless infrastructures, how to do initial setup for autonomous access points, how to set up cloud access points, and how to manage them. We will learn how to set up centralized VLCs and wireless control modules. Next up, we will learn access point boot processes and different web discovery methods. Then we will understand what are different web join processes, and we will learn how access points choose to join a specific VLC. What is a master controller? Why do we need primary, secondary, and tertiary controllers? We will also compare different access point modes, such as monitoring mode, flex connect mode, and VIPS access points. And on the second part of this chapter, we will configure a simple VLAN. We will learn what we need to configure, what are the parameters that need to be configured, and what do we need to configure for security, whether we should broadcast the SSID or not, different security levels for layer 2 and layer 3 security, how to choose a AAA server, and we will also learn some parameters, how to change some parameters for advanced topics. We will also go over different platforms for wireless management and configurations, how we can configure a wireless LAN controller via WebGUI and CLI, how we can configure wireless LAN controllers and autonomous access points, how we can do it via Cisco Prime infrastructure, how we can use ICE, the Identity Services Engine, as a AAA server for wireless configurations. And in the last part, we will talk about how to maintain a wireless network, how to get wireless LAN controller backups, how to do code updates for wireless components, such as autonomous access points, AirOS-based controllers, and IO6E-based controllers. Chapter 5 is all about client connectivity and its configuration. In this chapter, we will learn how to configure your clients and how to configure your VLANs to prepare for client connectivity. In this chapter, we will talk about authentication and encryption. What is authentication? What are different types of encryption? And some examples of it. TCP, AES. And then we will go over 802.1x and EAP. We will understand the EAP process, and then we will compare most common methods, PEEP, EAP Fast, EAP TLS, and we will go over AAA server options. Then we will talk about different client authentication methods. Why do we use open authentication? What are benefits and what are disadvantages of open authentication? And we will also talk about pressured key authentication and local EAP. Then we will learn how to configure them in your VLC. We will go over wireless authentication using ICE as a radio server. We will also learn how to configure web authentication on your VLC. We will talk about different VPA modes, VPA Personal, VPA Enterprise, VPA 2 Personal, and VPA 2 Enterprise. All those different modes will be discussed in detail. And on the second part of Chapter 5, we will learn how to provide client connectivity in different operating systems. We will go over how to configure Windows, iOS, macOS, and Android devices. And then we will talk about roaming. We will learn different components of mobility architecture, such as mobility controller and mobility agent. We will go over different types of roaming, the inter-controller roaming and inter-controller roaming. We will also talk about main deployment types, centralized mobility and converged mobility for both layer 2 and layer 3 roaming. And then we will go over how to configure wireless guest networking with anchor controller and foreign controller. Then we will begin Chapter 6. In this chapter, we will learn how to troubleshoot wireless networks. We will go over different VLAN configuration settings. And why do we need to check them? What can go wrong for access point settings? And also we will talk about which settings we need to check on client side. And then we will learn some Cisco tools to troubleshoot our controllers. And we will learn some third-party troubleshooting tools, such as spectrum analyzers, Wi-Fi scanners, and packet analyzers. And we will go over a couple of examples for these tools. As the last chapter, we will learn about site survey. In this chapter, we will be talking about different site survey methods. One of them is off-site site survey, which is also known as predictive site survey. The other method is on-site. And on on-site site survey, we have a couple of options. What is pre-deployment site survey? We can use AP on a stick as an active pre-deployment on-site site survey. We will also learn the post-deployment site survey. And in the post-deployment, we can have passive and active site survey options. We will also go over the reasons why we need site survey and how we can apply outcomes of those site surveys to get our wireless designs much better. We will also talk about what we need for our client application requirements. What are real-time applications? What are non-real-time applications? And how we can implement those requirements properly. Thank you for joining me and being my wireless warrior in this epic journey. Let's start with Chapter 1.